Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, it's such a pleasure and honour to be here. My name is Natalie Biviano and I'm based on Bunurong country in Victoria, Australia. I am wife to Malcolm, mother to Charlie, stepmother to Cameron and Austin, and mother-in-law to Georgia and Katie. So it's a real honour to be a custodian for them. I was born on Bunurong country. However, my grandparents bravely migrated from the Aeolian Islands, beautiful little majestic volcanic islands off Sicily, Italy. And I work and play as a leadership coach and facilitator. And I'm really, really passionate about fostering cultures where all life is liberated, where everyone feels that they have a place where they can be their whole selves and that they belong. Can you imagine a world where everybody has all of their basic needs met? Their food, their transport, their homes. What would people be doing with their time, energy, and attention? In my career, I worked over 20 years in people development roles, and predominantly within the IT industry. And I see we are at a really pivotal point where the intersection of technology and science and human wisdom and the wisdom of nature intersect. If you look out in the world, it can look pretty volatile and chaotic, but we're at a really, really special time because we also have the most awareness and resources to change the way of the world. When people come from their hearts, I really see that we don't have a resource issue, but a distribution issue. And we can solve some long-term systemic problems that we've all created and contributed to as a society. From my own life experiences and from what I've observed with various clients, I've noticed some patterns. Everyone wants to feel seen, heard, that they matter and are valued and that they belong. But we can't be of service to the world if we're in self-preservation. If we don't feel safe and secure within ourselves, then we typically focus on that and we can't focus on being of service to others. I've noticed that every single person has a special gift, a unique way to serve the world. And that typically evolves and develops from our life experiences, especially the challenging ones. We get the biggest insights and lessons through our most challenging aspects in life. I've noticed belonging is a really core fundamental human need. And when we feel that we fit in, that we are accepted for who we are, we can be way more innovative and take calculated risks and have energy and inspiration towards action. It's a key part for all of us. And I've also noticed that our systems, our workplaces across all industries really tend to favour privileged few. A lot of services such as coaching or counselling and psychology are available to people who can afford them. And so there's a big part of me that wants to make some of the things, the tools to develop people, more accessible to many. There's also gaps in data. If I think about just males and females as one example, all of the health data is done around men because it's a lot quicker, easier and cheaper and faster. Men have a 24-hour cycle. Women have 4 different versions of self over a month because of our hormones. And so if we look about workplaces, they're designed to favour the 24-hour cycle. We're expected to be and perform in the same way all of the time. So if I get a little bit personal, if I think about my life, I've had this fear of fire. Yes, the fire, the element, but also my own internal fire. I'm starting to make friends with the fire that is my spirit and the transformational essence that it holds, but it can be scary. It can be overwhelming, its power. So my journey has been about finding peace with my fire, not repressing and suppressing it, but also being able to communicate it in a ways that is wise and consistent and not erupting like a volcano, like where I'm from. As a second generation immigrant, it's really interesting because you can feel between worlds. Although all of my family are in Australia, and I have many extended relatives that are back on the islands, I didn't feel quite like I fit in here. So early on, I really rejected myself. I rejected my culture, my heritage, my appearance, even my femininity. Because when I looked around, I thought, it's not easy. It's not easy being different. And it seems to be easier if I'm more masculine. And so I adopted quite masculine traits, and not all the healthy ones, some of the toxic ones, such as being super competitive and dominant. I spent a long career working in a male-dominated industry. And so I really embodied those traits throughout my life. It was only when I returned to my ancestral homeland at 20 years old when I started to feel this deep connection to self and stop rejecting and not accepting who I really was. And that was the catalyst for beginning to get to know, accept, have compassion for, reintegrate and love who I am and get to know who that person is. Having rejected aspects of myself, it caused all sorts of challenges. I had physical challenges. So with my cycle, it would turn up as emotional and physical challenges and eruptions and pain. It showed up as like feeling quite lost and unworthy and incomplete, even though on the outside, my life looked fairly sweet. So typical high achiever, did quite well at school, got leadership roles, did well in the workplace, had progression. But I noticed a lot of everything was externally driven. And nothing was being driven by my own personal, intuitive, instinctual inspiration. And so I slowly started to call it home in my 20s to get to know my essence. I started to do things that lit me up, that had always lit me up, such as dancing, singing, playing guitar, rollerblading, all the things that lit me up as a child, I started to do in my adulthood and really embrace it without any fear of how it sounded. Is it embarrassing just doing it because it brings me joy? Similarly, in my career, when I had my daughter, I would say to her, you can be anything in this world. Follow your heart, do what lights you up. And at the time when she was an infant and a toddler, I thought, am I role modeling that? Because children don't do what we say, they do what they see us do. And it made me realize that if I would like her to live her dreams, then I better start living mine. And so she's been a massive catalyst, Charlie, as well as all of the children, or young adults that I have the honor of being a custodian, one of the custodians for. They've inspired me to follow my heart and be brave and courageous and get to know who and what that is. So my mission now is really to enable other people who are also living maybe not within their complete authentic and in their unique gifts, give them the opportunity and the tools through the personal and professional development that I embarked on to develop themselves, and the leaders that I support to foster belonging.
What an amazing story you've been on. And it's been quite a journey, listening to you speak and how you almost came out of your shell much later in life is fascinating. Now, your mission emphasizes thriving in both personal and professional spaces.
Yes.
How do you help clients define and pursue their own version of thriving?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thriving is a really interesting word, and it's like the word success. Everyone has a different version of what success is.
Yeah.
I think the way I support clients is really understanding what a fulfilled life means to them, and actually understanding what is meaningful, what matters to them, what they value, whether their day-to-day life mirrors and has opportunity for what is meaningful and matters and is valuable to them, and then looking at how are they fostering that within their life, within their workplace, within the people they lead. And so if I think about thriving in a workplace context, to me, thriving is not just sustained performance, business performance, but it's regenerative. So it's thinking about the long term, the long game, thinking leaving people happier, healthier, and with more mastery than you found them. Mm-hmm. So imagine going to work and coming home feeling recharged, amplified, fulfilled, because you're doing work that aligns to your gifts, your talents, what inspires you. You're making an impact to the community, and you're leveraging your unique talents that have come from the wounds. So typically our services come from our suffering. And so every time we provide that service, it's actually quite soothing and healing to the aspects of ourselves that didn't get to experience that in the first place.
Oh, wow. I love that. Now, you have a broad background in industries like finance, marketing, HR, and technology. How has this varied experience shaped your perspective on effective leadership?
Yeah, I'm different. I haven't had a linear path. I was always quite envious of people that, become a project manager and then work their way up the ranks and become, a portfolio manager or develop deep mastery in one avenue. That's not been my journey. And my journey seems really random, but it is by design. So working in a large organization gave me a lot of opportunity to have lateral moves, and what it enabled was me to have deep empathy with different perspectives and roles from different people. So working with clients across different industries, understanding unique pressures that they're under and their end clients, working across different departments gave me an understanding. For example, working in delivery and then moving into sales and solution design, I understand the longer we leave, do not resolve this proposal, it puts delivery under pressure because the client's end delivery date doesn't change. But then also having really clear requirements and how that impacts the sales process. So it helped me develop deep empathy for lots of different people's perspectives, and also understand from an organizational design and development perspective how the intersection points and the system works from a whole perspective.
It really gave you quite a depth of knowledge from the sound of it.
Yeah, a depth of people knowledge, I think, and systems.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it. Now, you often talk about inspiring others to step into their true potential.
Yep.
What are some of the practical ways that you encourage clients to embrace courage and authenticity in their roles?
Great question. Courage is interesting because everyone's got a different starting point.
Yes.
And one thing I'm really passionate about is courage isn't always loud. Everyone's got really unique styles and preferences, and often the most profound perspective is from the quietest person in the room that's been observing all of the loud, but they ask, and it's often in a question form, because we're at a time where we're solving really complex problems. And so having the answer isn't always the best. It's actually asking the most profound question. So when it comes to courage and authenticity, it's finding what is uniquely your unique style.
Right.
And then it's this between comfort, snap zone, staying in the stretch. So what is out of my comfort zone where I'm not going to break because it's too far. So sitting in this in discomfort where you're a little bit anxious, but it's actually excitement because it's new. But it very much is unique to the individual's style and values and what matters to them in how they show up. And it's really connecting to the bigger difference that they want to make. So it's aligning to a purpose or a mission or a vision that is bigger than who they are, so that the discomfort and the feedback and the uncomfortable aspects along the way don't matter, because the mission is bigger and it's worth the pain and the discomfort.
Now, your approach integrates modern science with ancient wisdom. How do these two perspectives complement each other in your coaching practice? And can you share an example?
Oh, ancient wisdom. I'm not that ancient, but I research a lot of different mystics' perspectives and Indigenous cultures, because if I think about the cultures that have lasted for thousands of years, they're the cultures that work with nature, that see ourselves as one with all that is, that we are part of nature, not separate. And so, for example, I sat in tribe with some Indigenous elders this year and around the sacred fire, and it was a beautiful, transformative experience. And I also have mentors who are Indigenous, as an example. I see there's so much overlap between science and technology and ancient wisdom. It's just that science and technology are catching up to what the mystics have known for millennia.
Yes.
For example, if we think about quantum, that's been the most proven science, and it's quite new, and yet it's just proving everything is energy, and all of these things that have been shared and passed on through stories for generations across multiple religions or faiths or spiritual practices through the mystics. So there's huge overlap. If I bring that into workplaces, AI is a part of our world, and it is a part of the way we work, and it has so much potential to solve really complex challenges that we've created as a society if we use it consciously, and if the questions that we ask are for the benefit of all life. So with human heart, head, heart, gut, and intelligence combined with the power of technology for reach, there is so much potential to solve problems in really, really innovative ways. But humans need to stop being driven by greed or what's in it for me or the short. We have a tendency to look at how are we going to bring it into the quarter, as opposed to how do we, solve this so that our children's don't end up with a challenge. It's a conscious shift in the kind of problems that we're focusing on and solving as a collective.
Now, how do you help elders to foster an environment of creativity, belonging, and growth within their organizations? And what challenges often arise, and how do you overcome them?
To me, so we know leadership impacts culture, and they both drive business performance.
Yes.
Business performance as well as adaptability. So there's proof that, when there is a constructive and positive culture, you get sustained performance and adaptability. And they're key things to navigate change and volatility and the chaos that a lot of workplaces are facing into. What I have noticed is when people feel like they belong and can be their whole selves, then they innovate more, they take moderate risks, because you're not trying to protect yourself. When you're not trying to protect yourself, you're trusted, that your teammates have your back, that you're working towards a large purpose that you all believe in. You're far more likely to experiment, to try things, to call out if you're off track, because that safety is present.
Yes.
And you know that you're not going to be in trouble. There's not going to be severe consequences for experimenting and getting it wrong. So feeling like you belong and are trusted is really, really key, that people are working with you and for you. Some ways that leaders can foster that innovation and that belonging are recognizing teams over individuals. So really, recognition and reward at a group level can be really powerful to get people to work towards something. Role modeling rest and recovery. Organizations that kind of have this habit of always producing. But if we look to nature has 4 seasons. There is a winter. There is a time to kind of rest and recover and plant seeds and let them grow. And so workplaces that actually, where leaders role model our own natural cycles and seasons, enable people to have that long-term, sustainable, regenerative ways of working, rather than burnout and overwhelm and hustle.
Now, you're certified in trauma-informed coaching and other frameworks that emphasize empathy and resilience. How do these skills come into play when working with leaders facing high stress or high stakes situations?
Trauma is really interesting. The reason I did trauma-informed coaching is to notice signs when it's important to refer a client to a counselor or a psychologist or a somatic therapist. It takes a village to raise children, and it takes a village of professionals to be the best version of self. And so there are various skills and expertise required to help people perform at their best. And so as a coach, it's my role to kind of have the triage or discernment on where someone needs additional support or is caught in a loop or needs so it's that tool has given me how to observe, how to notice when people are requiring additional support.
In your view, what roles does playfulness and curiosity have in professional development? And how can leaders incorporate these qualities into their daily lives?
Yeah, my core gift is helping others to playfully shine bright. And the way I give it is by helping them to have childlike wonder, to be in their soul essence, to have wild, ecstatic self-expression, and to remember, we have limitless potential. And so there is absolutely a place for play. Creativity spawns when we're coming from a place of play.
Yes.
In environments that are really stuffy or serious, or there is a lot of compliance and mandates and inspection, it's hard to be creative and innovative. Whereas when we are coming from a place of play, it enables a lot more fun, connection, and you're far more likely to be and work at your best when you're in a state of play.
Yeah.
I've noticed that teams, it's quite bonding as well when you're in a place of play and curiosity. So you're open to, no one's getting defensive about an idea. You can have more ideas shared in a playful way. So there's many, many ways to invoke play in a workplace, whether it's through brainstorming and ideation. It really depends on who's there and their preference for play, but music, bringing toys, role playing, looking at things from a systemic perspective. There are many, many ways to bring play into the workplace.
That's awesome. Now, with technology transforming the workplace, how do you approach coaching leaders who are navigating digital transformation and culture change?
There's a lot of fear from people when it comes to technology and the impact to them personally, their jobs, security, the impact it has on their children, and with a lot of mental health challenges on the rise, there is a lot of fear with the rise of technology.
Yeah.
So I think leaders need to be mindful and really lean into that. However, the potential, if there is that partnership and co-creation with technology to solve problems at scale, is huge. And so I really see, as we're speaking about play earlier, how can technology and the use of it become playful? An example, I went on a retreat, an elements retreat down at Wilson's Prom recently, and we were asked to sort of bring an intention, and I decided to work with ChatGPT and create a song based on the elements as my intention going in. And so within 30 seconds, I had guitar tabs and a poem that I'd written formatted into a song. And that's just one example of a playful way to use technology that created something really beautiful. And it was in seconds. So as a coach, I work with technology all the time. It can be used to help people refine strategy. It can be used on, it's countless, but again, it's leaning into the fact that there is fear and then helping people get comfort through play.
That playfulness keeps coming up. It keeps, yeah, I love that. Now, you're known for a compassionate, straightforward approach for getting to the core of issues. How do you embrace empathy with accountability when coaching leaders through these challenges?
Yeah, I think I've gotten a lot of feedback over my career that I can give really blunt feedback and get away with it. And I think because the people I work with know that my intention and my heart is so pure for their growth and their best interest, that when for a start, I always ask for permission to give a perspective through coaching. So they know it's coming in my professional capacity. But yeah, when someone has that deep trust and understanding that you mean so well for their growth, I've found that that's why I can give quite blunt feedback.
And it's received in that spirit as well.
Exactly.
I love it. So my last two questions are a bit of a time experiment. I'm going to teleport you into the past, and we are going to go and meet the younger you, that young woman who was going into the world withdrawn, shy, not sure of herself. If you could go back and give her 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
You can't get it wrong. So follow your heart and do what lights you up. Real connection comes when you show up in who you truly are. Embrace opportunity with curiosity and commitment.
Very nice. Now let's take you into the future. And we're going to go and have a conversation with a 90-year-old you. And you are sitting on your rocking chair, surrounded by your children, your grandchildren, your dogs, your cats, whoever is with you at the end. If you can go and have a conversation with this wise woman who's led you to this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I would say how blessed you are to have lived this life. You know, I honor you for following your heart and taking risks and living your legacy.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with us today. I love that last question because a lot of women look outside of themselves for answers. They don't realize the wise woman is already in us. She's that quiet voice that says, go left, go right, say yes, say no. And we need to trust her more because she is guiding us into the future.
Totally. Yes.
So thank you for recognizing that she's there and following your promptings. Thank you.
Thank you so much for facilitating this opportunity. It's an honor to share my story with you.
And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement of women who are stepping up to use their voices, to share their stories, to inspire you, energize you, uplift you, empower you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you want to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thanks again, Natalie.
Thank you, Gertrude. Bye.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep